Hi, it's Erik Paulsen, and welcome to the Correspondence Corner this week. I started out visiting companies in Bloomington and also spending some time with the Hennepin County Medical Examiner, who was doing some pretty important work in Minnesota. In Washington, we had hearings of the Ways and Means Committee, the Joint Economic Committee, mostly talking about tax reform and economic growth, creating more jobs. We had a lot of questions this week that came in from you. A lot of on the subject in particular about the abuse of federal agencies and the concern about government overreach. Of course, we all know about the IRS targeting individuals and Americans based on their personal beliefs. That's led to a lot of your feedback. We're going to start out with a question that came in from Suzanne in Chaska, and she wrote in saying, "Dear Congressman Paulsen, I'm deeply concerned about the overreach of the federal government, especially the abuse of power by the IRS. I know your committee has held hearings with leaders at the IRS and elsewhere, but what steps are you actually taking to ensure the IRS or any government agency doesn't abuse their power moving forward? Thank you, Suzanne." Well, first of all, when these government officials abuse their power, it not only erodes liberty, slows down the economy, it betrays the national trust in our federal government. I will say this, we've had many hearings in the Ways and Means Committee, as Suzanne mentioned, but we're also passing important legislation this week to crack down on abuse, to rein in bureaucracy, and make sure we restore that trust to protect hard-working taxpayers. We passed one bill, for instance, that I support this week that will now make sure that the IRS can fire any of its agents or any of its personnel that are found to use their own position for political purposes. We should also allow the IRS to put individuals that are under serious investigation on unpaid leave. Right now, those individuals are on paid leave. That's wrong. That's got to stop. Also this week, I received an email from Tony in Bloomington, and he writes in, "Dear Congressman, over the past decade, there's been an alarming decline in honeybee populations, with many colonies collapsing mysteriously. Congress must take immediate action to investigate why U.S. honeybee colonies and other pollinators are experiencing an unprecedented decline. What are you doing in this effort, Tony?" First of all, Tony, you're right. There's been an alarming decline in honeybee populations, a 31% decline in honeybee populations last year alone. Why are honeybees important? They pollinate our crops. Of the 100 crops that provide 90% of the world's food, 70 of those crops are pollinated by honeybees. The good news is we have attention on it. Congress passed and the House passed recently a bipartisan amendment that I supported, broad bipartisan support, to make sure we have better federal coordination addressing the decline in honeybee populations and finding some solutions on how we can help protect these populations and other insects that pollinate our food supply. I want to thank everyone for joining in on the Correspondence Corner. Keep sending in your thoughts and your questions and your ideas at Paulsen.house.gov. Of course, you can find me on Facebook or Twitter, and have a great weekend.